part 2 of the update 8.11 refines and Fire Emblem Heroes. We're going to talk about Mythic Otr and Thorr. They both have remix skills as well. Our third refine is going to be for Pirate Tibarn. We'll cover all the new effects here, plus talk about some build ideas. Our first mythic up is Otr. He's an Axe Cavalier who is generally min-maxed for lowest speed. Like before, he gets plus 3 attack and Kanto 3, but only for 4 turns. If initiating or near an ally, Otr gets plus 6 attack, he inflicts minus 6 attack, and he gets Omni Breaker with full DR piercing specials. Like Reagan, Otr has a self-charging special, so giving it full DR piercing is excellent. To help defend against attacks, he now has that Fog Denial. For the refine, every turn if above 25% HP, Otr grants the Not Slowed by Terrain status and the Incited status to himself and allies within 2 spaces. For combat, if above 25% HP, Otr gets plus 5 attack, defense, and res while inflicting attack, defense debuffs equal to the foe's field buffs on those stats times 2. He then deals true damage equal to 20% defense. Otr now has some support perks based on mobility. He can help fellow camps bypass trenches or infantry dash through trees. Perhaps he can help ranged units get through flame tiles. Incited grants up to plus 3 stats if you were to move 3 spaces. That one's a pretty simple initiation bonus. Combat-wise, Otr's going to counteract some enemy attack and defense field buffs. He doesn't neutralize them, but he's going to inflict debuffs twice in size in combat to cancel them out. For his remix, Otr has Brutal Shell Plus. This is a unique 3 cooldown special, and it self-charges for the first 4 turns now. Instead of being a Luna special, it now boosts damage by 50% of the greater of Otr's defense or the foe's defense. Lastly, for some tankiness, Otr gets 40% unpierceable damage reduction for the next attack if anyone's special was ready or triggered in the current fight. Brutal Shell is basically a bonfire or a Luna special on damage now. Otr will take the higher value depending on if he faces higher or low defense foes. To go with his Kanto 3 and DR piercing, Otr can hit and run for 4 turns before he runs out of steam. Luckily, the 40% damage reduction isn't tied to just 4 turns. Obviously, if you're going to use Otr, you need to act quickly. For 8th raids, you probably want to get things moving with your defense formations. As part of his remix, Otr is going to get Attack and Defense Excel. It's an excellent addition because the flat damage reduction can stack with Brutal Shell's new unpierceable 40% DR. Offensively, Otr is going to want to stack Attack and Defense since Brutal Shell scales with defense now. Like any pre-charge special, it's going to be weak to Scal. Otr can run Momentum though for extra true damage, and the instant cutout can cancel out Scal effects. Fatal Smoke 4 could be used to stop healing and Miracle. Assuming Otr survives, he can use Kanto 3 to retreat. Defensive Res Smoke grants Pathfinder, so Otr can set up a spot to let allies move forward. With his Not Slowed by Terrain status, this could catch someone off guard. Shadow Shift is another fun potential skill, just like the new Reagan has. One issue for this Otr is if he can't get the kill, decent chance he's getting doubled. The follow-up now is nice, but Otr's very slow and no follow-up counters that effect. Brutal Shell also only gives % DR for 1 hit, so Otr's open on that follow-up. Just as an interesting option, you could run Deflect Melee here. Even if he gets cut in half, that's still 40% DR like Brutal Shell. To add to this setup, Flow Guard 4 inflicts Scal on the enemy. It'd be nice if Otr can avoid a special, and he might stop it on a follow-up if you also get Tempo. Odd Defense Wave 4 is an option for that. For other skills, Alphonse's Fortifications, Reopening, and Breath of Life setup would be pretty fun. Maybe you got a Divine Vein to get Distant Counter for defense teams. This would be a lot better in those defensive formations. Now, Guard 4 can also offer % DR to stack up, although most people are going for those flat DR skills these days. Generally, Otr did get some nice tools like DR Piercing for his self-charging special. The unpierceable 40% DR is nice, and Otr is incentivized to stack defense for the true damage and Brutal Shell scaling. As a mythic defense unit, I'm not sure it's enough to really turn heads. The Not Slowed by Terrain status can get someone off guard. I think it's good, but Incited is just a small stat boost for initiations. There's also the 4-turn limitation still, and Otr himself still isn't getting bonus blessing stats. Anima is also just kinda stacked. It's gonna be pretty tough to replace someone like Hadron or Rare. Next up, Mythic Thorr is a flying axe unit. She's another mostly min-max low speed unit. Mjolnir is going to get 1 main upgrade. This 16-might axe is effective against armors and has slaying. If above 25% HP, Thorr gets plus 6 attack, inflicts minus 6 attack on the foe, so he gets a free follow-up, deals true damage based on 15% attack, and neutralizes the foe's field buffs during combat. Mjolnir keeps its ult effects, but the low effect got rid of its solo condition. New to the weapon is the true damage part, and Thorr gets a decent amount of base attack to add to the damage. For the refine, Thorr is going to get Kanto 2. If above 25% HP, she gets another plus 6 attack and inflicts minus 6 attack. Thorr gets flat DR based on 15% attack for all hits, and her next counterattack deals true damage based on the total damage she reduced from any source. Thorr will then have full DR piercing specials. Thorr basically has a full combat refine, true damage, flat DR, and empowered counterattacks in case you can't KO her cleanly. You then get Kanto 2, which is good, and Thorr has DR piercing specials, which plays into her unique C skill. Worldbreaker Plus kinda got a pretty good overhaul. First off, Thorr is a Guidance 4 beacon for any unit type, 2-space warping for allies within 2 spaces. Thorr would then get +5 attack, defense and res, Breath type cooldown, and -2 instant cooldown before her first attack. For allies, they get the same effects but weaker, +4 stats, Breath type cooldown, and only -1 instant cooldown. Worldbreaker, most importantly, now has a 3-space buffing range. That's very nice, and Thorr has Guidance 4 plus Kanto to maneuver herself and the team around. For the instant cooldown, this affects any type of special. Thorr can pop an instant bonfire, or you can get -2 cooldown for Gale Force, and then a -2 cooldown when attacking. There could be an interesting use case for something like Miracle, since Thorr has the damage reflection part of her refine. For allies, you can use Worldbreaker to stack with other instant cooldown effects, or just have it counter Scal effects. For example, Worldbreaker can help Lagoo's friends deal with 1 layer of Scal. You still get the Breath type cooldown as well, so Worldbreaker Plus is a very cool upgrade. As part of her remix, Thorr is going to get Guard Bearing 4, 60% damage reduction on the first fight in enemy phase, with 30% DR for all other situations. The idea is to use Guard Bearing's % DR to stack with the Refine's flat DR. Both of these contribute to the reflected damage empowered counterattack. If this was an enemy phase, Thorr can get -2 cooldown when she's hit by the foe. Worldbreaker Plus gets another -2 cooldown before attacking. Thorr could proc an Ignis or even Aether, and it would have full DR piercing capabilities. This could be a fun setup with Distant Counter, and Excel would add another flat DR source to stack with. Now for initiations, same idea, but Thorr immediately procs 2 cooldown specials. This can be a Slaying Bonfire, Draconic Ore, or Luna, even no quarter technically. If the foe survives and hits back, Thorr has her % DR and flat DR. If she can follow up, the reduced damage is reflected back, and Thorr would proc another special, assuming there was no guard or tempo effects. Excel and Guard Bearing can work for either phase, but you can lean to one or the other. For initiations, to survive, Thorr can run stuff like Flow Guard 4 for Scal, Reopening for flat DR, Fortifications for flat DR against specials, plus the Stone Terrain, or there's Sturdy Impact for Omnibreaker with Mjolnir. Worldbreaker does charge defensive specials if you want a surefire pay this. For pure damage, Momentum can add true damage, another follow-up, and then even more instant cooldown. That could help counter enemy Scout skills or just open up instant Ignis or Dragon Fang specials. You could do AoE specials too, but Worldbreaker doesn't grant cooldown before combat like Momentum does. You're gonna need some outside help. Now another option is Aero Maneuvers. Thorr would get her own 2-space warping, which could let others leapfrog over her after. This also gives Desperation/Dive Bomb to use with Mjolnir's follow-up. Not the safest bet, but it's an option. For Sacred Seals, Thorr can run Clash or Squad Ace Seals, Aerobatics or Flyer Formation to help her mobility, and maybe you could use Hardy Bearing to ensure Thorr gets her empowered counterattack. Distant Counter is also a fun option, just be wary of archers. For some team utility, you could run Snag or the new Detect B skills. They're not bad since Thorr can outstay 3 spaces away, but sadly Worldbreaker won't reach across the whole map. Some people like to use Thorr for Gale Force help. Worldbreaker Plus does give the instant cooldown to Gale Force, but you still need to get near the action. Now remember, Thorr has Guidance 4 and Kanto 2 now. You could do something like Movement Assist an ally, then Kanto toward the enemy. The ally hops over Thorr via Guidance to attack. They will have Worldbreaker's cooldown, and if say another Wings of Mercy ally flies in, Worldbreaker's 3-space range might reach them to help again. Of course, Feud still counters Worldbreaker, and Warp Bubble messes with Guidance, but there's some potential if Thorr can find some holes in the enemy formation. Defensively, her instant count is nice, especially for more Scal effects showing up, and just in general, she's kind of a great support for consistent Lagoo's Friends special uptime. The 3-space range is also pretty huge quality of life improvement. Our last refine for this month goes to Pirate Tibarn. He's a colorless flying beast with good attack, some speed, and decent defense. Sky Pirate Claw has accelerated specials. If Tibarn's next to 1 or fewer human allies, or he is transformed, then Tibarn gets +5 attack and speed and inflicts -5 attack on the foe. He gets a free follow-up attack, 50% DR piercing on all hits, and he's going to heal some HP after combat. As usual, if transformed, Tibarn gets that +1 movement. Previously, this was a solo type weapon. Tibarn can now fight next to any beast or dragons, and he can fight by 1 human if necessary. He gains +5 speed, half DR piercing, and some healing. Obviously, DR piercing is always great to have, but some people may not like that 7 HP sustain. This Tibarn is naturally kitted with Gale Force. The heal can mess up Wings of Mercy type tactics if you did want Tibarn to get low health. Of course, he also has Dive Bomb, so the original intention was for Tibarn to not get hit before he 2-taps the enemy anyway. Now for the refine, Every turn, if above 25% HP, Tibarn inflicts -7 speed and defense, exposure, and the rare frozen status on the closest foes and foes within 2 spaces. If above 25% HP, Tibarn gets +5 to all stats, true damage equal to 15% attack, and no guard. Pirate Tibarn's main draw is that he's the second unit to get the powerful frozen status. As a refresher, frozen is a debuff that increases the speed roll for the enemy to double, and decreases the speed roll for Tibarn's team to double. It has a base 10 speed difference added to both sides, but if Tibarn's team has higher defense, then you add another 2 points to the speed roll for each point of defense more. As an example, if Tibarn has 10 more defense than the foe, he increases the speed roll for the foe by 10 times 2, 20, 20 plus the base 10, so plus 30. This means the foe needs 35 or more speed to double Tibarn. Meanwhile, you're going to lower Tibarn's speed roll by -30. Tibarn just needs to be within 25 speed of the foe to double them. Tibarn has a free follow-up in his weapon, but if the foe has no follow-up, then he can abuse Frozen to instead to naturally double. He inflicts -7 speed and defense, gains +10 speed, and +5 defense with this refine. As long as the Frozen is on the enemy, you can stack defense instead of speed. One of the best parts of Frozen is that it affects the whole team. Frozen can of course be cleansed though, so don't get too comfy. For his original playstyle, Tibarn used Dive Bomb and his free follow-up attack to attack twice in a row. Heavy Blade 4 plus Sling would proc Gale Force in 2 hits. With the refine, Tibarn adds 50% DR piercing, some true damage based on attack, exposures 10 true damage, and -7 defense debuffs, decent amount of extra firepower. For upgrades, you can use Attack and Speed Wild to get some stats and the better Breath type cooldown. Dive Bomb's tier 4 is Aero Maneuvers, which also inflicts -4 speed and defense. You can tack on another -5 stat debuffs via Deadly Miasma and low enemy field buffs. Generally, using the free follow-up attack isn't the most reliable strategy to proc Desperation. Frozen's here to change that by letting Tibarn actually get a natural follow-up. Do keep in mind, Tibarn's not getting the craziest amount of bonus defense out of this refine. It's essentially 12 points difference. There's no attack and defense wild yet, but the speed part is fine with Dive Bomb. For some other concerns, Tibarn doesn't have no follow-up or a follow-up denial. Even with Frozen, he gets doubled by a basic quick repose skill. You can get a follow-up denial via Sturdy Impact, or maybe try for Odd Speed Wave 4. Joe's new refine would be a nice help. Instead of using Desperation though, Tibarn may be better off just duking it out and trading blows. Counter Roar, Excel A skills, and the new Sturdy or Nimble B specials can help him tank hits while getting to a follow-up attack. Wild, Counter Roar, and the new Fortune skills also grant healing after combat to stack with Tibarn's refine. If you want even more healing, even Attack Wave N is another +5 per hit. Personally, I do think Beast Threaten is the most interesting C skill for this Tibarn. It has a wasted defense debuff, but it's going to apply Panic. Tibarn then gets +6 attack and then times Pulse. This will put Gale Force on 3 cooldown. Suddenly, Tibarn may not need Blade or Breath type cooldown since he has no guard. 3 actions in combat would charge Gale Force, and you can drop that lower with teammates. Beast Threaten is currently available with Ichthynir on a banner. He has Fierce Beast, which is the 2 cooldown full DR piercing special. Tibarn would pre-charge Fierce Beast, and since he has Slang no guard, when he's hit back, he's going to recharge Fierce Beast. Tibarn could get a second proc on that follow-up. For more defensive special though, Sturdy Beast or Nimble Beast from the new Hraesvelgr are 3 cooldown specials. If transformed, you no longer need to do the stat check part to get the unpierceable 40% DR. It may not be the best damage-wise, but Tibarn can still use Nimble Beast. On that topic, transforming is important for Tibarn to get the +1 movement. He seems to be pushed into running Beast Near Trace since he lacks Kanto. However, Hraesvelgr has Near Trace 4 and the new Fortune 8 skill that adds easier transformation conditions, which Tibarn can use to get his 3 movement. Fortune also grants attack and speed with low speed and defense, so it's also contributing to ending Frozen outspeeding. There are quite a lot of options to mix and match. Beast Sacred Seal is fine. You could run stuff like Beast Agility, Sense, or Assault. Book 8 isn't over yet, so Marauder and Nihilgar might introduce more Beast skills. If anything, they might bring more sources of Sturdy Beast, or perhaps an attack and defense Fortune. I could see that happening. Overall, Pirate Tibarn I wouldn't say is going to be a complete menace by himself. He doesn't have all the effects you may want, so you're going to have to compromise on your build or bring search and support allies. However, it is Frozen that really makes him stand out. With very high defense, middling speed units can pose a threat or just mess up the faster foes. There's also units like Tamara who are all speed and defense. Good luck outspeeding her with Frozen on the field. That's going to be it for part 2 of the update 8.11 refines. Let me know what you think and have fun with the new skills. If you missed it, part 1 of this month's refined batch featured the Horba, Guinevere, Shamir, and Jill. Joe and Tibarn would make a pretty fun flyer combo. That's all I got for this video. Next up, we're going to talk about this year's Ninja November banner. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.